Hello and welcome back for more of this nap time edition of Reading Shakespeare with Cats. Moving on to Act 3, Scene 6, we now enter Lennox and a lord. This is just Lennox, who we don't know much about, talking with another Thane. We do know that Lennox was there at the scene that Macbeth just made at the banquet. But other than that, we really just know that he's a lord. My former speeches have but hit your thoughts, which can interpret further. Only I say, things have been strangely born. So Lennox has been speaking to this, whoever this lord is, before, and here they are just kind of gossiping. And he's saying that he's kind of reserving himself a little bit and saying, things have been strangely born. In other words, things have been going strangely lately. Now, the key to this speech, which can sometimes be confusing on a first read, is that Lennox is very sarcastic throughout it. So you'll hear his sarcasm as he relays the official version of what Macbeth wants people to be believing. The gracious Duncan was pitied of Macbeth. Marry, he was dead. And the right valiant Banquo walked too late, whom you may say, if it please you, Fleance killed, for Fleance fled. Men must not walk too late. Who cannot want the thought how monstrous it was for Malcolm and for Donalbain to kill their gracious father? Damn in fact, how it did grieve Macbeth. Did he not straight in pious rage the two delinquents tear that were the slaves of drink and thralls of sleep? Was not that nobly done? Aye, and wisely too, for 'twould have angered any heart alive to hear the men deny it. So that I say he has borne all things well. He being Macbeth. Macbeth has borne all things well. He's been doing everything well here. Again, the sarcasm is thick. Going back to the first example, he suggested that Banquo was killed by Fleance. Apparently that's the official version Macbeth has people trying to believe. And you can see the kind of the preposterousness of it here, that, oh, it was Banquo's fault because he was out walking too late. And then Fleance must have killed him because Fleance ran away. That seems to be the pattern Macbeth goes for. And then he describes how monstrous it was for Malcolm and Donalbain to kill Duncan, and that Macbeth was so noble and so wise in the way that he then went and killed the guards who supposedly did it, because it would have been too hurtful. It would have angered everyone else too much to have to hear them deny that they did it. So here's his sarcastic praise for Macbeth. And I do think that had he Duncan's sons under his key, as, an it please heaven, he shall not, they should find what it were to kill a father. So should Fleance. If he had Duncan's sons under his key means if Macbeth had them in, sort of locked up in jail, under his key, and also if he had Fleance, then they would find what it were to kill a father. They would find out the consequences of killing their fathers. Notice in the parentheses here, we get a break from that tone, from the sarcasm. He gets more direct here, and he says, as an it please heaven, he shall not. He means that sincerely, that thank heaven, he shall not have them under his key. Okay, now he's going to set aside the sarcasm entirely and be more direct with this other lord. But peace, for from broad words, and 'cause he failed his presence at the tyrant's feast, I hear Macduff lives in disgrace. Sir, can you tell where he bestows himself? So we remember that Macbeth pointed out Macduff was absent at the feast, and here Lennox suggests that because he was absent, he's now living in disgrace, meaning Macbeth is out to get him. Sir, can you tell where he bestows himself? Where's Macduff? And the Lord here is going to give what seems like a really off-prompt answer. The son of Duncan, from whom this tyrant holds the due of birth, lives in the English court and is received of the most pious Edward with such grace that the malevolence of fortune nothing takes from his high respect. The son of Duncan would be Malcolm, because that's the one from whom this tyrant holds the due of birth. Notice that both Lennox and the Lord are calling Macbeth the tyrant now. This is also one of our clues that the earlier praise for Macbeth was sarcastic. And ultimately, he's talking about Malcolm. He doesn't answer the question about Macduff. He says that Malcolm is living in the English court. Court is not like a court of law, but the royal court where the king is. And he's received by the King of England, the most pious Edward. And so that's where Malcolm is. Seems a little off prompt there, but then he follows it with a second sentence. Thither Macduff is gone to pray the holy king upon his aid to wake Northumberland and warlike Seward, that by the help of these, with him above to ratify the work, we may again give to our tables meat, sleep to our nights, free from our feasts and banquets bloody knives, do faithful homage, and receive free honors, all which we pine for now. So thither Macduff has gone. There is what thither means. So Macduff has gone there to England to do what? To pray to the Holy King. The Holy King is not Macbeth. The Holy King is Edward, that he might give aid to wake Northumberland. That's a fancy name for England. And warlike Seward. Seward is the English general. So in other words, he's hoping that the king will bring his army, and that with the help of these, the army, and also someone else, the help of him above, that would be God, that maybe we can again give to our tables meat, sleep to our nights, free from our feasts and banquets, bloody knives. If we can change all of those things, and that gives you also gives the audience a hint as to how things are going in Scotland under Macbeth. Things are not going well. Okay, they lack food, they lack sleep, and they don't feel safe. And he's hoping they can return all of that to normal if they can get rid of Macbeth with the help of England. And this report hath so exasperate the king that he prepares for some attempt of war. So the report that they've brought to King Edward has exasperated him so much that he's ready to bring war against Macbeth. Then Lennox asks, sent he to Macduff? Meaning Macbeth. Did Macbeth send for Macduff? The Lord says he did. Really, Ollie, right now? The Lord says he did. And with an absolute, sir, not I, the cloudy messenger turns me his back and hums, as who should say, you'll rue the time that clogs me with this answer. This line always gives me a little bit of trouble here. Basically, yes, a messenger was sent to Macduff, and with an absolute, sir, not I, that's the response Macduff gives to the messenger. In other words, sir, not I. Like, no, I'm not going back to Macbeth. And then the cloudy messenger, he's unhappy, he's gloomy, and he has to go back, and he's burdened by having to carry this message back to Macbeth. Like, oh my goodness, now I have to go back and say, no, he said, nah, he gave you the finger. I wouldn't want to be that messenger. Lennox says, and that well might advise him to a caution to hold what distance his wisdom can provide. Some holy angel fly to the court of England and unfold his message ere he come, that a swift blessing may soon return to this our suffering country under a hand accursed. I'll send my prayers with him. So they shift from talking about the messenger to talking about an angel and how they're hoping for some heavenly support here to bring back peace to Scotland. And they exit, and that is scene 6. That is Act 3. And it's time to continue